Hi, I'm Russell Sturgis. I'm the founder and principal of EAP Mentor, and welcome to my blog series on mindfulness and awareness. Today I'm doing the second part in a series of mindfulness in business. Last time I said that I would address the benefits to business, and one of the key ones, and it was the first one that I listed in the blog last time, was increased self-worth. If somebody is able to turn up to their employment with a greater sense of self-worth, where they have this sense that they have value, and this is foremost in their awareness, then it is a natural extension that they will choose to turn up in the world physically, mentally, emotionally and spiritually in ways that are more self-honouring of the worth or value that they see within themselves. So if you see yourself as being important, and you think about anything in your life, if you've got something that you highly value, you look after it. If it's your car, for example, and you really, really value your car, then you're going to make sure it's clean, you're going to make sure it's serviced properly, you're going to do all the things that really show that this is important to you. Many of us would know, and some of us are probably in this camp, people who don't hold their car as being of value, and so therefore they don't look after it in the same way. Well, we're much the same. So as human beings, when we have a greater sense of importance and value, when we're able to establish a sense of that, then we actually develop a whole lot of behaviours that reinforce the value that we see in ourselves. So for example, physically, if you see that you are important or that you have value or of worth, then you're going to be committed, just like we would wash the car and service the car, you're going to do the same in terms of the human body. There's going to be commitment to hygiene and how you turn up and how you look, how you present yourself. You're going to be looking after your diet and your exercise and the things that are necessary for you to sustain good health and well-being. You're going to get adequate amount of sleep. We know for a fact that 7 to 8 hours sleep a night is recognised as being important in terms of maintaining good body health, and the list goes on. So if you are able to sort of have these as foundational to how you live your personal life, and you turn up to work as somebody who's committed to these things, and you become a valuable member of staff, because you're going to be less likely to be unwell, you're going to be less likely to be dealing with physical issues while you're trying to work, less time off, etc., etc. In terms of mental health, if you have this sense that you're important, one of the things that really comes to the surface is mental peace and clarity. So the ability to have this mental inner peace, so that you're not sitting there dealing with anxiety and fear and all of the things that people typically deal with. And you know, mental health, for example, we know that mental health is a increasing issue in society today. And so when somebody's got a practice of mindfulness, what they're doing is investing in the health of their mind. And so peace is going to be important to them. Creativity, imagination, intuition, all of these things become heightened the more inner peace somebody experiences. So that commitment to mental health is really important. Emotional health. One of the big ones in this is that when you begin to take responsibility for identifying and recognising your worth and your value, all of a sudden you begin to understand that happiness is a choice and not a consequence. So emotionally, you turn up already happy because you choose that. You're not spending your days trying to have people validate you in order for you to be happy, or to try and do things, become a yes person in order to be happy and then not be able to follow through. So in terms of, even just at that level, in terms of emotional health, the fact that you can turn up to your work already choosing to be happy, you get out of bed and choose happiness as the way in which you express life and the way in which you engage life. And then, of course, spiritually, when you have a greater sense of your worth, it leads to a greater sense of purpose. Now, this isn't about saving the world, but it is about making a difference in the world. And generally speaking, what happens is purpose is about how can I serve? How can I make a difference in the world? So what happens is when you turn up to work with a greater sense of spiritual health and well-being, then you have this capacity to better relate to your co-workers. You have a better capacity to relate to your clients, to management. So that what happens is in this place of self-worth, and when it comes to this spiritual sense, there's this desire to be there, to be of service. And of course, the ultimate service in all of these situations is to be an authentic listener, to be able to truly hear another without your filters getting in the way. Can you imagine, once again, as an employer, if you had staff who are committed to really listening to each other, to the customers, and to management, the difference that would make in terms of the organisation. So it's really clear that when people have a greater capacity to recognise their worth and their value, then how they turn up in terms of all of those things certainly makes a difference to the work environment. So why don't we have this sense of self-worth? Why is it so difficult for people to believe that they have value? Well, based on the work that we do at EAP, we understand that most people by the age of 7 have already been programmed with most of the beliefs that of their worth, of their value. And in nearly every situation, it is some form of not being enough, not being good enough, not being attractive enough, not being intelligent enough. And so we have these stories of not being enough. Funnily enough, we repeat it so much that we totally believe it. And by the time we get into our adulthood, we basically run this as the basis of how we engage life. And so our habitual functions are how we're able to circumvent, how we're able to avoid, dodge, how we're able to survive this belief about ourselves that we're not enough, that we're not good enough. And so one of the key factors is being able to, in terms of changing this and finding a sense of self-worth, is to recognise this story and to see how it then is playing out. And one of the things that I say is that anytime you're out of stillness, anytime that you've lost your inner peace, anytime you're discombobulated, anytime you're feeling frustrated, annoyed, angry, sad, lonely, even to the extent anytime you feel overly excited, it's all being driven by your story. So one of the things I'd like to have you consider during the course of this week is, what would your story be? And generally you'll have a bit of an idea of what that is. My story was not being noticed. That I had a perception that I wasn't noticed. And so any time that I felt that I wasn't being noticed, I would become either motivated to work harder at being noticed, which led to some poor choices. I could become frustrated and annoyed or angry that somebody had more notice than what I did. But at the same time, it helped me to develop a whole lot of skills in my attempt to be noticed. And this is really how we move on from our poor self-esteem and to find the place of esteem, is to find the gifts that we've developed as a result of our story and decide to use those to make a difference in the world. And once again, I make the reference that our story is the gift that we gave ourselves. This belief of poor worth, or this belief of poor value and poor self-worth, is the gift that we gave ourselves in order to serve humanity. Anyway, if you'd like to find out more about this, please go to our website, eapmentor.com, and I would highly encourage you to go to our Facebook page, Enhances Awareness Program it's called, and we have every day there's lovely little bits of information on awareness and mindfulness being posted there, which is really making a difference to people's lives, and we'd love for you to be able to have a look at that, and please contact us if you'd like to find out more about our programs and how we can help you develop a greater sense of self-worth and therefore help you to be able to live more mindfully. Thank you for listening, and we'll present another in these series of mindfulness in business next time. Speak to you then. Bye.